In this video, we are going to write code corresponding to changing the font size of our text using the font size slider. Okay, so first of all, let's access our slider using its ID. So that's going to be font size slider. And then we are going to use the on method, which takes two parameters, an event and a function. So the events we're going to be using here is when we stop sliding. Okay, so when we stop sliding, we can see that the font size changes. Okay, so the event for that is going to be slide stop. All right, and then our function is going to be a function with two parameters, event and UI. Okay, we're not going to be using these objects in our example. Okay, but usually when we use this function inside the on method for sliders, it takes these two parameters, event and UI. Okay, so first of all, once we change the slider, or we move the handle of the slider, we need to refresh our slider so that it gets the new value. So to do that, we're gonna access the slider. Okay, and then we're gonna use the method slider with one parameter, refresh. Okay, now we want to use the value of the slider to change the font size of our text. So first of all, let's get the value. So we're gonna create a variable slider value. Okay, and the value of the slider is simply what the method val is going to return if we access the slider. Okay, so if we try this and then get or access the reading box using its ID and change the CSS font size using the CSS method. So two parameters, font size with capital S, and the second parameter is a number. Okay, so if we try the slider value variable, this variable is going to return a string. Okay, and we need a number there. Okay, so whenever we get the value of a slider, we're going to get a string. So to transform a string to a number, we're going to place this value, which is a string, inside a function called parse integer, okay, which is a JavaScript function, and now we're going to get an integer. Okay, so once we change the font size of our text, we want also to change the value of this span. Okay, and we're going to use the ID of that span. So the ID of the span was font size. So let's access the span using its ID. And let's change the text inside the span to the value of our slider. Now let's save and try this. Now you can see that we can change the font size of our text. Okay. All right. So in the next video, we're going to move to the speed slider.